For those who are tuned in via YouTube, again, this is part 3 of our lesson. We will have only 3 parts tonight to tonight's show. We just did a recap of last week's show. The greatest story never told, the true and uncut story of Jesus. We didn't deal with Melchizedek, Brother Julius.
We still got time, Black.
Okay, cool. So we're going to deal with right now, brothers and sisters, what Jesus taught and what he preached.
Yes.
So we're in the book of Matthew, the 4th chapter.
And let's pick this up at verse 17, my brother.
Matthew 4 and 17.
Uh-huh.
From that time, Jesus began to preach and to say, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
And what he was trying to say, Black guys, that a representative from the kingdom of heaven is here, meaning himself.
But see, we're getting about what Jesus was preaching. We want you to understand the difference between the two. He's preaching, brothers and sisters, that a kingdom is coming, that a kingdom is at hand. But what is he teaching? He's teaching, or he taught, what we need to do in order to access it once it comes. I'm going to say that again. We're making it plain and simple what Jesus taught versus what he preached. He preached that a kingdom was coming.
Yes.
He taught what we needed to do to access it once it arrived. Brother Julius, let's go ahead and pick this up in verse 18.
Go ahead.
And Jesus, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw 2 brethren, Simon, called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers.
And what did he say to them?
And he said unto them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men.
Skip down to verse 23, and go ahead. After he collected a few disciples, he's gathering his disciples now, Black Ice. Go ahead.
And Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom.
Wait a minute. Teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom.
There's those 2 words again, teaching and preaching.
Yes.
We want you to know the difference. So the question I have to ask to you before we continue, what are you teaching and what are you preaching? Are we really doing what Jesus is doing? Because see, Jesus said, thy kingdom come. He was preaching about a kingdom that was coming. Are you preaching that a kingdom is coming, or are you preaching going to heaven when you die? Ask yourself that question, because if you're preaching that we're going to heaven to be with the Lord when we die, then you're contradicting what Jesus is saying in this book, that a kingdom would be coming.
Well, Matthew chapter 5. Let's look at a couple of things that he taught.
Matthew chapter 5.
And 1.
5 and 1.
Go ahead, Ice.
And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught them.
And taught who?
Taught the disciples.
And what did he say?
Saying, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Come on, Ice.
Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted.
Right.
Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
Look like the wicked is inheriting the earth right now. Come on, Ice.
Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled.
They ain't filled now because the world is full of wickedness. Come on, Ice.
Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy.
Go ahead.
Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God.
Go ahead.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God.
Come on.
Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Look at what he's teaching. He's teaching hope, Black Ice. He's teaching a way of life. He's teaching a behavior. At verse 11.
Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake.
So when you respond to somebody that's doing these things to you, and you respond in a negative way, you're not suffering for righteousness' sake. You're suffering for wickedness' sake. Verse 12, Ice.
Rejoice and be exceedingly glad,
Yes.
for great is your reward in heaven.
Yes.
For so persecuted they, the prophets, which were before you.
He didn't say you going to heaven. He said your reward is in heaven. This is why you say thy kingdom what, Black guys?
Thy kingdom come.
Okay, let's look at Matthew the 6th chapter.
Matthew 6. We're
6
talking
and
about
9.
what Jesus taught and what he preached. And we need to be teaching and preaching what he taught and what he preached.
Wow.
Matthew 6.
Matthew 6 and 9.
And 9. Matthew 6 and 9. And it reads, after this manner, therefore, pray ye,
What?
Our Father,
Yes.
which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Yes.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come. I'm not going to take you up to heaven. I'm going to bring heaven down to you. Thy kingdom come. It's called the kingdom of heaven because it's prepared there, because he said, I go to prepare a place for you in my Father's house. Ice?
Brother Julius, let's stop right here. We want you guys to hold this place.
Yes.
Is there another place in this Bible?
Yes.
That can back up what Jesus just said when he said that the Father kingdom was coming? Hold this spot right here. Let's go to Revelations, the 21st chapter.
I like this. Let's read it, Black guys.
Revelations, the 21st chapter.
Yes.
Let's see if we can back up what Jesus is saying in the book of Matthew.
Yes.
All the way in the last book of the Bible. The book before the chapter before the last chapter in the Bible. Revelations 21. Let's see if we can read about a kingdom that would be coming. John 21. And 1.
Go ahead, Ice.
And I saw a new heaven and a new earth.
Yes.
For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away.
Yes.
And there was no more sea.
Come on, Ice.
And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven.
Wait a minute. Thy kingdom come. It's coming down.
I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
Verse 3, verse 3, verse 3.
Verse 3.
Yeah.
And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Look, behold, the tabernacle or house of God is with men.
Wait a minute. Who told you that you was going up there?
We can't read that in this book, but we can read where it's talking about this kingdom, this tabernacle,
yes,
this holy city,
yes,
New Jerusalem will be coming down out of heaven,
yes,
sent from God,
right?
And then it says right here, and he, talking about God, will live with us.
With us, not you going to dwell with him. He gonna come and live with us.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We got to read this again.
Read it again.
And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them. Talking about the men that are on this earth. God is coming to live with these men, with us. And it continues in saying, and they shall be his people, talking about us, and God himself shall be with them. Talking about us, talking about men. Well, if we were going up there with him, shouldn't it be reversed?
But Black Eyes,
should it be the other way around?
Black Eyes, Jesus Christ, the greatest story never told. Can we read this in the Old Testament?
We can read it.
Let's go to Leviticus, the 26th chapter.
Leviticus 26.
Remember, the tabernacle of God is what, Ice?
Is with men.
Is with men. Let's read it. Leviticus chapter 26. Leviticus 26 and read verse 1. Leviticus 26 and 1.
And it reads.
Yes.
You shall make you no idols, no graven images.
Right.
That includes your Christmas trees, brothers and sisters.
Oh, be careful.
And your crosses
be
around
careful,
your neck.
Ice. You're going deep.
Neither rear you up a standing image.
I don't want you praying to no images or no idols. Come on, Ice.
Not only just praying, don't even rear up a standing image.
Come on, bro.
Neither shall you set up any image of stone in your land to bow down unto it, for I am the Lord your God.
What else he shall do?
You shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord.
Skip down to verse 6. Wait a minute, verse 3. It gets better. It gets better.
3. If you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them.
Wait a minute. Jesus told you in St. John 14 and 15, if you love me, do what?
Keep my commandments.
Oh, so Old and New Testament, the commandments stand forever, right?
Stand forever.
Come on, Ice.
Verse 9, you said?
No, skip down to verse 5 and go ahead.
Verse 5. And your threshing shall reach unto the vintage, and the vintage shall reach unto the sowing time.
Yes.
And you shall eat your bread to the full,
yes,
and dwell in your land safely.
Verse 9, Ice.
For I will have respect unto you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, and establish my covenant with you.
That's his law, statutes, and commandments. Go ahead.
And you shall eat old store, and bring forth the old because of the new.
And then what he gonna do?
And I will set my tabernacle among you, and my soul shall not abhor you.
And then what he gonna do?
And I will walk among you, and will be your God, and you shall be my people.
Let's go back to Revelation, the 21st chapter.
Wow. It seemed like we read the same thing in the Old Testament, in the book of Leviticus.
Maybe because God don't change, Ice. Jesus Christ is saying what?
Yesterday, today, and forever.
And he told you in St. John the 5th chapter, had you believed Moses, you would have believed me. Moses wrote Leviticus.
Revelations 21:3. One
Read
more
it again.
time.
Read it again.
And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men.
Yes.
And he will dwell with them.
Yes.
And they shall be his people.
Yes.
And God himself shall be with them.
We just read this in
and
Leviticus.
be their God.
Because God don't change. Now let's go to Hebrews chapter 6.
Hebrews 6, brothers and sisters.
And deal with this other name that he's called by. That people don't like to deal with. But it's here.
This is how we get down on the Bible Show the Truth Hour, brothers and sisters.
This is the Truth Hour.
We give you these scriptures. There's nothing that you can complain about, Brother Julius and Black Ice.
We read the book.
If you have a complaint, if you have a grievance, if you have an issue, it's with what we're reading out of this book. We got 2 minutes left, brother. 1 minute left, Brother Julius.
Wow.
Brothers and sisters, we got so many places that we can go. Go back and listen to these lessons. Hebrews
6:18, Black Ice.
Hebrews 6:18.
Yes.
That by two
Immutable
things,
What are those two?
in which it was impossible for God to lie, we might have a strong consolation who have fled for refuge to lay hold upon the hope set before us.
Come on.
Which hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast,
Yes.
and which entereth into that within the veil.
Go ahead, Black Ice, verse 20.
Whither the forerunner is for us entered, even Jesus.
Even Jesus.
Made a high priest for even
Forever.
after the order of Melchizedek.
So Jesus is a high priest. Go to chapter 7 real quick.
Go to chapter 7.
Hebrews
We're talking
7.
about this Melchizedek. We want
Yes.
to end with Melchizedek.
Yes.
Because we want to show you, brothers and sisters, that Melchizedek was none other than Jesus.
Yes.
It's just a different name that he went by during that time. Hebrews 7:1.
Come on.
For this Melchizedek, king of Salem,
King of peace.
priest of the Most High God,
Yes.
who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the king and blessed him,
Go to Genesis 14th chapter and read it. Go ahead.
to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all.
Go ahead.
First being, by interpretation, king of righteousness.
Yes.
And after that also king of Salem.
Yes.
Which is king of peace.
Come on, Ice.
Without father.
Without father.
Without mother.
Without mother.
Without descent.
Go ahead.
Having no beginning of days.
Go ahead.
And no end of life. But made like unto the Son of God.
Right.
Abideth the priest continually.
But made like unto the Son of God because he is the Son of God. Although it says made like. But Jesus is made like the express image of the Father, ain't it?
That's true.
Come on, Black Ice.
Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the tenth of the spoils.
Go ahead. Skip down to verse 15 and continue.
And verse 15.
Yes.
And it says, and it is yet far more evident
That what?
for that after the similitude of Melchizedek, there ariseth another priest.
Yes.
Who is made not after the law of carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life.
So this Melchizedek lived forever. Verse 17, Ice.
For he testifieth, thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
He is after the order. But wait a minute. I wish we had the time, Ice. I wish we had the time.
Verse 21?
24. Yes.
Verse 21 or 24?
24.
And it reads, but this man, because he continueth forever, have an unchangeable priesthood.
It can't be but one high priest. Jesus, unchangeable priesthood. 26, Ice.
For such an high priest became us, who is holy, harmless, undefiled, separate from sinners, and made higher than the heavens.
Because Melchizedek came from heaven, sisters and brothers.
Brothers and sisters, we have to conclude this. We have so much that we can show you, so much that we can share with you.
What did
we
Melchizedek offer Jesus? What did Melchizedek offer Abraham?
Wine and
bread and wine. When Jesus took the Passover, what did he put on the plates? They didn't have the lamb and the bitter herbs. They had what, Black Ice?
Bread and wine.
Melchizedek or Jesus picked up his old tools, Black Ice.
So you can call him Jehovah in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
You can call him Melchizedek in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
You can call him Lord God in the Old Testament.
Almighty.
You can call him Almighty in the Old Testament. Brothers and sisters, it was all Jesus the time.
That followed them was Christ.
Brothers and sisters, you were tuned in to the Bible Show, the Truth Hour here on POET Radio. Our subject matter today was The Greatest Story Never Told, Part 2, the uncut, untold story of Jesus, who became Jesus the Christ, brothers and sisters. Thank you for listening. Tune in next Tuesday.
Hang on for them questions.